This video is going to cover Microsoft Word Module 6, adding special elements to a document. So the module objectives are going to be how to create a table, how to insert and delete table columns and rows, formatting a table, insert and format a picture, adding footnotes and citations, inserting a header or footer, adding borders and shading, working with themes, and then how to format a research paper. So creating a table, first off, a table is a grid of rows and columns. The intersection of a row and a column is called a cell. That's something that's important. You'll also see that a little bit later when we get to Microsoft Excel. Cells can contain either text or graphics. Most of the time it's going to be text or numbers a lot of the times, but they can contain graphics. And when you create a table, you specify the number of rows and columns that you would like in your table. And you can also add or delete rows and columns as you modify the table once the table has been created. And then you can use tabs to organize text into rows and columns, but working with tables can be easier. So that last bullet point, what we're talking about, is actually using tab stops to organize text into rows and or columns. If you've ever used tabs in formatting a paper, something to that effect, that's what we're referring to there. So for, let's see, creating a table, first thing we're going to take a look at here, creating a table, you're going to start on the Insert tab. You can see the arrow pointing to the Insert tab right here along the top portion of the screen on the ribbon. And once you get to the Insert tab, there will be, let's see if the next slide shows it, there will be a table icon. You click the down arrow, and there are several options to insert a table. Probably the easiest option is to use the blocks here, and you will just hover over the number of columns and rows that you would like. So for example, this this table here that's been inserted into the Word document, that is what we call a 3x3 table. It's got 3 columns, 3 rows, and that was inserted by hovering over 3 columns and 3 rows. So you would hover over this block, and that will insert or allow you to insert a table that has 3 columns, 3 rows. Okay, so then the finished product is, this is what it'll look like once the table's been inserted. Okay, so once you've got the table inserted, you can add text, you can further format it, and probably one of the most important things I want you to notice here is that when the table is selected, and remember I've probably mentioned this in a previous lecture, but anytime that we insert an object into Microsoft Office, whether it be a photo, a table, a chart that you'll work with in Excel, other photos or images or smart art or graphics that you may use in Microsoft PowerPoint, anytime that you want to edit an object, one of those things that I mentioned, an object usually can categorize it as something you insert into a document, has its own properties. You'll want to make sure that that object is selected first. That's always, always, always what you want to make sure that you do first, is select the object by simply clicking on it so you can work with it, so you can have all of the features and functions and options available to you when working with that object. So in this case, the table is selected, and the reason I know that is because when the table is selected, I have these 2 tabs at the top of the screen. I have a Table Tools section, and that comes with 2 tabs, a Design and a Layout tab. And there are various features, functions on those tabs. The Design tab will have obviously functions related to table design, and Layout will have functions and features related to the layout of the table. Okay, so after you create your table, you might need to add more information or delete existing information. You can do that by adding rows at the top or bottom, middle of the table. You can add them really anywhere you want to. Same thing with the columns. And you use the commands on the Table Tools Layout tab to add or delete columns and rows. You can also use the mouse and the mini toolbar to accomplish these tasks. So one thing you want to remember is that anytime you're working in Microsoft Office, most of the time I said anytime, I really should say most of the time, there are more than one way to accomplish that task. So for example, on the Layout tab in the Table Tools section, the Layout tab that we'll see only when the table's selected, I've got a lot of buttons here to delete rows, insert rows above a certain row, or insert below a certain row that's selected. Insert right or left, that's going to be insert right or left of a particular column that may be selected. There's also some other functions like merging cells, splitting cells. We won't really get in get into those in this class, but that's one way to insert rows and insert columns. Now, if you'll look at the diagram, you'll see that there is a button that's got a plus sign in it, and there's a line that extends along the border of these two columns. This is another way that you can insert a column by simply highlighting that area, clicking that column, or probably was one of these columns here, either this column or this column. And when you do that, this control will appear, and that plus sign means or gives you the ability to add a column. So not only can you add a column or insert a column using the left and right buttons on the toolbar on the ribbon, but you can also do it by using the insert control. One other way, and you can do the same thing with the rows, you would just highlight or hover in the margin here, and you should see a similar looking control that would allow you to insert a row along the area that you have highlighted. Let's see, and then lastly, you can also select a column or row and right click, and you'll get similar options that look like the insert above, below, left, right icons on that you see on the ribbon. So there is, let's see, 1, 2, 3 different ways to insert columns and rows. Pretty simple, straightforward. Just remember, there's usually more than one way to do something, and as I tell most all of my students, when in doubt, right click, and usually you'll find an option that will allow you to do what you want to do. Alright, so looking at the last figure for inserting and deleting table columns and rows, this is the new column with the text added. So now you can't tell that this column was added. Shouldn't be any different once you've added your text. Should look the same as any other column. So that's the finished product. Okay, so once you've created a table and you've adjusted the layout if you need to, then you can format the table. So that can quickly be formatted by applying a built-in table style, which is a predefined set of formatting attributes including shading, fonts, border, color, etc. And you can also format your table manually if you so desire. But table styles are fast and usually are pretty, fairly professional looking, which basically means that somebody spends some time putting together schemes or color schemes, fonts, different attributes, shading, borders that give it an acceptable professional appearance. So, and remember that Microsoft Office is productivity software, so things like styles and themes and templates are there for you to use, so you don't have to spend a lot of time manually formatting a document when you can just select a style that's either close or maybe even exactly what you're looking for. So once the table style is applied, you can further enhance it and customize the table appearance using the shading and borders tool and adjusting column width. So I would kind of categorize a table style as an option that will get you close to what you're looking for, and then you can further enhance or kind of tweak or do the fine tuning with features like customizing the table with shading, borders, things like that. Maybe change the font weight, font size, font color, just however you wish. Here's a screenshot of what the Table Tools Design tab looks like. Actually, this is the Table Styles menu. You can see there's various table styles to choose from. They're grouped together. Looks like we have list tables. I know there's another group up here. I believe those are called grid tables. So a lot of options here. You can just select one of those and it'll immediately apply that style to your table. As you can see in the background here, we selected this table style. Looks like a light blue color is added to every other row. Changes the text, looks like, to maybe an italicized light blue color. So that's an example of what a table style will do for you. And you simply apply that by just selecting the table and then clicking on the style that you like. Alright, and furthermore, if you wanted to add a border, again on the Design tab you can choose the border styles. And then here's some of the theme borders that are available. And you can select any one you want. If you like a double line border, you can select that. Really, it's just kind of up to you to customize as you see fit. And then lastly, on the figure 6.8, it shows some additional border features. If you click the borders button, the arrow directly underneath, you can add all borders to the table. You can just include inside borders, just an outside border will just go around the perimeter of the table. A lot of different options here. So these are just some additional options and features that are available to you. Alright, inserting and formatting a picture. So let's take a look at what's the first word on this slide is insert. So anytime you are asked to insert a table or insert a photo or insert a chart, you probably want to start by looking on the Insert tab. So just keep that in mind that you are actually performing an insert function by inserting an object into the document. And when you do that, most of the time you're going to find whatever feature function you need to use to insert that object on the Insert tab. So let's just remember that. The Illustrations group on the Insert tab has tools for adding shapes, pictures, and other graphics. A lot of different features that you can add on that tab. Online Pictures will take you to a dialog box. So basically, we'll use a search engine to find a photo or a picture that you may be looking for. By default, it's going to use Bing. Because that's Microsoft's search engine, so you can imagine they're going to direct you to their search engine for any internet searches. And any image that you find online might be owned by a person or a company, and rights to use it may be restricted. So you want to check the rights and make sure you're compliant. Basically, some photos, some images are copyrighted, some are not. Usually you'll be able to tell by the photo or image when you look at it if it's copyrighted or not. So you just want to be careful of that, not use anything that's copyrighted for your own personal gain. Here's an example of the Format tab once a picture has been inserted. So the image was inserted. It looks like a green basket, or it looks like a picture or a photo of a basket. Once that photo or image was inserted, it's selected. The contextual menu for a picture will show up. It's called Picture Tools, and there's only one tab, in this case a Format tab. And we're going to change the color to a color that we like. It looks like a green accent color 6 or a light green color. But you can see there are various options to color your image to. So again, when you insert an object like a table, or in this case a photo or an image, you're going to have a lot of different features available for that object that are going to be found on the contextual menu that is only available when that image is selected. And in this case, it's the Picture Tools contextual menu on the Format tab, and here are your formats for color. And you can see you have several other options and features across the top on this room, and all of those are applicable to the image you see below. Just a couple more items here. You have a picture styles gallery, so you can add a style to the photo. You can see here, looks like a reflected bevel white style was added to this photo, so it kind of gives it a beveled edge with a background. Looks like square text wrapping style was applied so that the text flows around the image. Let's see, that's the wrap text button is here. And you also have additional layout options when you are working with your image to create different changes or features to that image. Alright, footnotes and citations. So some of you may or may not have worked with footnotes or citations. These are typically required when you're writing a paper. Footnotes are typically a note that's related to some text in a paragraph on the same page. Footnotes usually are located at the bottom of the page. Citations are more about citing sources. Maybe a reference based on any information that you're using or have cited or would like to reference in your paper. So documents, they include quotes or paraphrase material from other sources which need to be given credit. You need to be cited. In another word, a citation is a reference to a source which may include the author's name and page numbers. There are different styles of citations. In this book, we use the MLA style. If a document contains citation, it must also include a bibliography or a works cited page. The References tab contains tools to manage sources, insert citations, and add a bibliography. The Reference tab can be used to add footnotes as well. A comment that appears at the bottom of a document page should reference some other related text or sentence further up in the page. Alright, so we can see we're on the References tab. If we want to insert a footnote, here is our button here. Reference mark, footnote. This is what a footnote looks like once it's been inserted. And as you can see, it looks like it says a mark or a number 1. And let's see if we can find that in our screenshot here. Reference mark is here. That's what the reference mark is. So right at the end of this sentence, looks like in the past year, individual Pepper's Green Basket stores have conducted their own outreach initiatives. So a related comment to that could be used as a footnote would be, in the prior year, at least 24 initiatives were launched. So to give you an idea of some reference to this comment here. That's kind of what the footnote's designed to do. Alright, so how to create a source dialog box with source information added. Anytime you want to add a citation, Word has got this feature built in for you where you populate the information, and at the end you will insert the bibliography and it will build your works cited page for you. Very easy, very convenient. So in this case, you can see we select the type of source. It's an article in a periodical, something like a newspaper or a magazine or something that's printed periodically, thus the name periodical. Got the author's name, which is Sally Chambers. Title is A Community in Need. That's the title of the article in the title text box. Periodical title, or like say title of the newspaper for magazine, if we're talking about Time magazine. The year, month, day, pages, medium. Is it a magazine? Is it a newspaper? Is it an online publication? Enter that information in, and then when you're done, you can click the Insert Citation button. And then the bibliography button, and a new source is added. So the bibliography inserted in MLA style includes all sources cited in this report. So we take that information from Sally Chambers, click the magic button. In this case, it's a bibliography button. Bibliography button. And this is what the finished product is going to look like. So it's pretty easy. All right. Moving on to headers or footers. So headers or footers are typically used to put information at the top and bottom of pages. Usually, the top you may find the date, you may find your name, maybe a page number. At the bottom of the of a page is where a footer would be located. More times than not, that's where the page number is located. Other information, you can put a date there as well. You can put a file name. You can put a lot of different things. But you can easily add headers and footers to a document containing several pages. A header is text that appears at the top. Footer is text that appears at the bottom of each page. Just gave you those examples in the 4th bullet point. Headers and footers can be formatted just like regular text, and they can also include a graphic. So they can be formatted very, very similar to a Word document, or the text in the body of the Word document rather. And the best way to insert headers or footers is using the header and footer buttons on the Insert tab. Alright, so we're in this case, this example is showing where we would insert a date and time. We select the format that we would like to use and click OK. And you can see, well, actually it doesn't give an example here, but above the dotted line here is where our header would be located. So in this case, if you wanted to put your name and the page number, you could type that here. Usually headers, there are several different formats that you can choose from. Some are maybe 1 position, some maybe 3 positions, but regardless, you can insert text wherever you would like, or image wherever you would like in the header, which is the space above the dotted line here. And you can, again, if you'll notice, the header is selected, it's active, and what do we have? A header and footers tool, design tab. So here's another contextual menu with options and features that specifically relate to headers and footers. Alright, and then if we want to take a look at what our header and footers will look like, we can go to Print Preview by just clicking File, clicking Print, and then our page preview or print preview will be demonstrated or displayed on the right side of the screen. Alright, so borders and shading. One of the ways to add visual interest, you can add borders and shading around text or entire pages if you're trying to bring emphasis to that specific section of text, whether it be a paragraph, a sentence, or what have you, a table. And those can be added using the page color and page borders buttons in the page background group on the page layout tab. Or for selected text, you can use the shading and borders button on the home tab. Either way is fine. So in this case, you can see we have selected text. We've got the shading button, list arrow selected. So here are our different shading colors available. Looks like we've selected a light blue, which you can see is around this text. Okay. If we want to add a border, we would also click the borders button right here, just to the right of the shading button. That arrow will give you this menu, or you can even click. You can't make it out in this figure, but there's a arrow in the bottom right hand corner of that paragraph group that will also give you features like what you're seeing here, the borders, page borders, shading, and you can select the border color, the width or the weight of that line. You can select that as well, and that'll just give it some additional character. Okay, so now we've got a light blue background around these two lines of text with a border also around it. Looks like the blue shading's applied, and then a blue 1-point border around the shaded text is what we applied here. And that really brings emphasis to that text, and it really jumps off the page, and it makes it easier for the reader to find, locate, and it catches their attention to make sure that it draws their attention to that information. Alright, just a few more slides here. Working with themes. A theme is a coordinated set of colors, fonts, and effects that are applied consistently throughout a document, providing a professional look. And then you can vary a theme's fonts and colors by applying different sets of theme fonts and colors. So that's similar to what we talked about earlier. You apply a theme, it kind of gets you close to what you're looking for, and the applying different sets of fonts and colors is kind of the fine-tuning. Like if you like the way the theme looks but you're not so crazy about the colors, you can tweak those to something that you like. And to apply a theme, you use the Themes button in the Document Formatting group of the Design tab. And then themes are available throughout Office. What that means is that Word has them, PowerPoint has them, Excel has them. For this class, those three for sure are going to have themes, and the way you utilize them is very similar per application. So in this case, on the Design tab, you click the Themes button, you'll get a list of themes, and if you want to, we'll say, tweak any theme that you add, you can go to the Color button, and you can see that there's a lot of different sets of colors available here that you can change your theme to. And this is where you would do that. Design, apply your theme, and you can change the colors here. Alright, and then working with themes, it's the last image here. You can see what the document looks like as a whole. You've got the green title, the subheaders, the table that's got the blue outline, or blue border lines rather. You've got the text in the blue shaded box with a border around it. So it really gives the document some appeal and breaks it up and makes it a little bit easier for the reader to read. Okay, and then formatting a research paper. There are guidelines to follow when writing research papers. Modern Language Association, or what we all know as MLA style, is a popular standard for formatting academic research papers. That's something that I believe is pages 167, 168 of your textbook will cover that. Here's just a couple of examples of how that would be done. The margins are set to 1 inch. You always want to put your name, professor's name, and course number at the top left. A right-aligned header has your last name and page number. That would be your header. The title is centered. First line of each paragraph, is indented to the half-inch mark on the ruler, which you should in your tutorials or your trainings you should cover how to turn the ruler rather on and off. And then you can see that the paper is also double spaced. Publication names are italicized. We've got an in paragraph citation in this last paragraph. You probably can't make it out on the screen, but this figure 624 is in the textbook. And then lastly, you've got a works cited page, which includes all sources referenced in the paper. Very important that you give credit where credit is due for the information that you use to write your paper. All right, that's the end of this lecture for this module. If you have any questions, please let me know, and have a good rest of the day.